What is going on, everybody? It is June 7th, 2024. We're 2024 and we're wrapping up another week. We're going to start pushing out, one thing that just came to me. I've been listening to a ton of books, and I always do that. I always like to try to live the growth mindset and digest as much stuff as I can. And one of the books I'm reading right now, listening to, I say reading, it's pretty funny, but it's all Audible based, is Gary V. Day Trading. And he talks a lot about the fact that sometimes we want content or anything we want it to be tailored, strategic, and we plan so much, but we just don't produce enough. And so what we're going to do here on these is just a recap, like a look inside of what's happening in how our business is going, how our life is going, and just some of the things that we're constantly thinking about as we're trying to become a little bit better, beat yesterday's version of ourselves. So we're in June 2024, June 7th, 2024. And from a business side, we're in this really interesting, challenging period. Construction works like this. When you have a construction business, you make your fees. The chunk of the money that you make, if you're building from the ground up and it's a spec, you're not really making any money until you sell the house. But if you're doing it as a service business, it's a bell curve. So it goes like this, right? So as your project is ending, the workload is super high, but your fees are really low. And we're at this really interesting period where we have a lot of massive growth, but planned. We knew this was coming. We've been going through a real challenge of fees are low, workload is super high. Right now we've got 10 projects finishing out. That includes a 24 unit apartment project, 2 fourplexes, and a bunch of homes. We've got 10 projects all finishing out between June 1st and July 1st. A massive amount of work, right? And a lot of challenges from a cash flow side, because you got this bell curve where we have all these projects are ending and all these new projects are starting. So we've been going through that and just growing through that. And that's one thing I'll say, if you're going to take on that entrepreneurship role, there are a lot of ups and downs and mental challenges that you have to go through when you're trying to block and tackle problems like that, and because we're seasoning out, we're 3 years into it. One thing I look at, the cash flow challenge, because at the same time we're trying to grow, but also thinking to myself, hey, did we plan this properly? Does it make sense? Because you could ask yourself, we just by chance have all these projects ending at once, or is it no, actually we're not. We didn't engineer this in the right way, where we looked at the full schedule and the start dates and the end dates. And so I always try to look at myself and say, hey, how can I work to not let this current pain and this current problem happen again? And I'm far from perfect at it, but I think that's the entrepreneurial journey in general, is figuring out, one, you'll never be able to stop solving problems. That is what entrepreneurship is. You make your money by solving problems. But can you create systems that allow you to speed up those problems or take away from the pain that you feel when solving those problems? And can you get smarter, just a little bit better, a little bit smarter every day? And we're working on that. For me, it's been huge, bringing on people who are smarter than I am in that area and who have a ton of great ideas and capacity. I feel so blessed. We're finally at this point. We've got 7 employees in Momentasize now, and it's truly like a family business. It's, the culture we have and the way that the team is bonding now makes me so happy. We're a company that it's not just this structured, we build houses. No, there's fun banter happening. There's great relationships happening. I work with some of my greatest friends, but even within that too, there's just great culture that's happening. And I can feel with the team that we're at the tip of the iceberg. We're just at this beginning of being able to create this dream machine that's going to create a real estate empire. So I feel super excited about that. Although we have a lot of challenges and pain points that do come, it's just one of those crazy points to be in, because we've got a ton of exciting stuff coming up. We got a ton of exciting stuff ending, a lot of pain and challenges with that. And then we got a ton of exciting stuff that's coming our way. So, as an entrepreneur, the daily emotions that we're going through right now, it's just a wild experience. And I just try to deal with those pressures in a positive manner. I'm also now on 6 months for the first time since I was like 15 years old, I'm on 6 months being sober. Outside of course, I'm not sober off caffeine or nicotine, but I'm 6 months sober off no drinking, no weed, no drugs, none of that. I kicked the drug component a while back when I had some challenges with that, but I was still using, like I was still drinking or smoking weed or eating gummies, whatever it was, right? To take the edge off at times. And now I'm 6 months sober, and it's completely changed my ability to, on those entrepreneurial pressures, it's actually changed my ability to deal with those in a positive manner, right? And for me, those outlets, I made a video about this, but it's when you have a personality trait, like for me, whether you call it addictive or whatever you want to call it, when you have the personality trait, I don't know if you can ever change that trait, but I know you can audit your habits and replace whatever's meeting that need that you have. Tony Robbins talks about this. Whatever's meeting that need that you have, for me, it's fulfilling that, I guess you'd call it personality trait. You just have to replace it with something positive. And so being able to do that and constantly trying to improve on myself, both in the business, with my family, with my wife and my beautiful children, and then even personally, right? Being able to try to push to align those things has been huge, and being sober has been a major part of that for me. Not everybody's like that. Like a lot of people don't have the same problem I have with it. I have it. So I was really able to look in the mirror and be honest with myself on that, and then try to say like, hey, what I thought was wild when I was trying to get sober was like, it took me like a couple patterns. Like I knew it wasn't good for me. I would say one thing and then I would be in a scene or something and I would go right back into it. And that's a wild thing I think that happens to us. If we know something's not good for us and we do it anyways, there's something really crazy happening there that I think we have to audit. And finally, I had a breakthrough moment. I had a couple cycles of that and I had this breakthrough moment. And so I think that who knows how it's a day by day thing, but I think that it's just so important to if you say you want something big, which I want, and then I don't align my actions with that, then I'm breaking a promise to myself. And you'll never be able to, if you break a promise to yourself, you'll be self-sabotaging what you say you actually want. And so you'll put yourself in this like endless loop of not making the things that you really actually want happen. And so for me, being sober for 6 months, I'm super proud of myself for following through on that. It's even weird to say. Like it's weird to say that you're proud of yourself for something, but I'm evolving and growing in my ability to be vulnerable about that. And so, it's been, if I was not sober right now and hadn't made that commitment, the entrepreneurial pressures I'm having right now, the business pressures, I might not be able to sustain them the same way, right? And there's a great path forward, but I just think that, you just gotta like stick with it. And if there's a habit in your life that isn't benefiting you, like really think about removing it, because it'll allow you to deal with the pressures like I'm dealing with now. And it's not always easy, but I think that's exactly why it's worth it. It's exactly why it's worth it. So, it's been an amazing start to 2024. We're 2 quarters in now, 6 months into it. And I think that as I look forward and see how the rest of 2024 will go and into 2025, I feel really blessed and excited to see where that's headed. We're working like extremely hard on the systems, which is one of the hardest things for us to do, but we're pushing hard on it because we have a bigger vision for building these systems today will allow us to create the scale that we need to execute on the dreams that we have. So I'm really excited to see how it's going. A quote that is really with me right now that I really, really am thinking about all the time on that systems one is that we do not rise to the level of our goals. we fall to the level of our systems. So we've got a massive challenge ahead of us to build these systems. And, we're up for the challenge. I appreciate you guys following along, all the support, all the growth, the encouragement. We really, really appreciate it. I value the connection we've been able to build together so much. And I cannot wait to continue to build these real estate empires together, whatever that means for you, whatever it turns in for us. We love you very much, and we will see you on the next one, baby.